Imagine this. One day you walk into a room and someone asks a simple question. What do you do? For most people, it's a normal conversation starter. But for some, that one question feels like a knife. Because sometimes in life, you don't lose just a job, you lose your identity. And that's exactly what happened to a woman who once lived what many people would call a dream life. A high paying corporate career in London, a powerful title, luxury brands, beautiful clothes, a successful image. The kind of life that looks perfect on Instagram. But then everything changed. And what happened next is something millions of people around the world secretly fear. This is the story of a woman who went from being head of product in London to cleaning Airbnb apartments in Melbourne. And honestly, this story is not really about career failure. It's about something much deeper. It's about what happens when life removes every level you used to define yourself. Shweta had spent nearly 15 years building her career. 15 years. Think about that. Years of hard work, late nights, meetings, deadlines, professional growth, promotions, status. She had made it. She had the title, the salary, the lifestyle. She said she always had new clothes in her wardrobe, branded makeup, designer handbags, six or seven pairs of shoes. She lived what many people dream about. From the outside, everything looked successful. But 2 years ago, she made a big decision. She left London and moved to Melbourne, Australia. Now, most people think moving abroad automatically means a better life. But nobody talks enough about the emotional cost of starting over. New country, no network, no certainty, no guarantees. And then reality hit hard. The job market in Melbourne was extremely difficult. She kept searching, kept trying, but couldn't find the kind of career opportunity she was hoping for. And slowly, something inside her started breaking. Because when people asked, "So what do you do?" she didn't know what to say anymore. And if you've ever gone through unemployment, career transition, retirement, business failure, or even a personal crisis, you know exactly how painful that feeling is. Because society doesn't just ask about your work, it measures your worth through it. Your job becomes your introduction, your title becomes your personality, and your salary becomes your confidence. And when all of that disappears, you begin questioning yourself. Shweta said something heartbreaking. She said the person she used to be had disappeared, and the person left behind felt like an empty shell. Just imagine that for a second. A woman who once led products at a major company in London, now doubting her own identity. And this is where the story becomes powerful. Because instead of pretending everything was perfect, she chose honesty. Real honesty, the kind social media rarely shows. She openly admitted that eventually she started managing Airbnb apartments in Melbourne. And that included cleaning rooms, changing linens, answering customer questions, handling small operational work. A completely different life from corporate boardrooms in London. And yet, she said something incredibly important. It's a functional job. It gave me a small part of myself back. And that line is the heart of this entire story. Because sometimes survival comes before success. Sometimes healing begins with small steps. And sometimes rebuilding your life doesn't look glamorous. And sometimes the strongest people are not the ones winning in public. They are the ones quietly rebuilding in private. While managing Airbnb, she also started teaching English to children. Little by little, piece by piece, she began rebuilding herself. Not the old version, Not the version attached to titles and luxury, but a deeper version, a more real version. And then she shared a line that hit thousands of people emotionally online. She said, when the title goes, you find out who you actually are underneath it. And that sentence is powerful because it forces all of us to ask a difficult question. Who are we without our achievements? Because life can change very quickly. One job loss, one bad economy, one business failure, one illness, one unexpected decision. And suddenly, everything you thought defined you disappears. But maybe that's also where real growth begins. You know what's beautiful about this story? Not the fall, the honesty. In a world where everyone is trying to look successful, she chose to look real. And that's why her video connected with so many people. Thousands watched it. Many commented saying they were going through similar struggles. One person wrote, I had to pick myself up too after moving to Melbourne. Another said, I keep telling myself, one day, one week, one month at a time. And honestly, that's how most real comeback happens. Not dramatically, quietly, one day at a time, one small victory at a time, one difficult morning at a time. See, social media usually shows us the highlight reel, the promotion, the luxury vacation, the success story. But very few people show the messy middle, the uncertainty, the identity crisis, the rebuilding phase. And that's why stories like this matter. Because they remind people that struggling does not make you a failure. Starting over does not make you weak. And doing honest work to survive, there is dignity in that, a lot of dignity. In fact, some of the strongest people in the world right now are silently rebuilding their lives while pretending to everyone else that they are okay. Maybe this story is for them. Maybe this story is for someone who just lost a job, someone whose business failed, someone who moved to a new city and feels invisible, someone who feels left behind while watching others succeed online. Listen carefully. Your current situation is not your final identity. Life can humble anyone, but rebuilding yourself with honesty, with patience, with courage, that's real success. Because at the end of the day, titles can disappear, money can disappear, status can disappear, but your ability to rise again, that is your real power. And maybe the biggest lesson from this woman's journey is this: sometimes life destroys the version of you that looks successful so you can finally discover the version of you that is real. Thank you so much for watching.